Welcome, geometry students, to class today on this Tuesday the 14th. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're ready to learn some math today. A little bit of a raspy voice, so you'll have to put up with that, and I will drink some water occasionally to help take care of that, but I do apologize for that. And hopefully I'm not coming down with something. Okay, here we go. Share some announcements for tomorrow. You will have a quiz tomorrow, and so let's talk about that here for a second. You will have a quiz tomorrow. Today we are covering lesson 7.3. We're not going to have any homework. You're going to work on that homework tomorrow during class when your quiz is over. I'm not going slow, extra slow on purpose this semester. I just know when the material needs 2 days and when it needs 1 day and when it's really important, and I want to give you extra time to grasp the concept. And my boys are playing video games. Let me pause this real quick and tell them to quiet down. Okay, I am back. So anyways, because I'm teaching you 7.3 today and there's no homework today, then there's no need to quiz you on that. So the quiz is going to cover, and it's really pretty simple. I'm not being lazy. There's just really nothing to go over except to say that the quiz covers lessons 7.1 and 7.2. Study your notes. I know for sure 7.2 had a couple terms, and I guess I could really quickly here pull up 7.1 just very quickly here and see if there are any terms. I know 7.2 had scale factor was a definition, and also similar polygons. And so know that could be on the quiz. Fill in the blank. So did you get that? Let me say it again. What a scale factor is, and similar polygons. I gave you a definition for each of those from lesson 7.2. Now 7.1, yeah, here we go. Ratios. Make sure you know ratios, so mark that in your notes now, please. Ratios, that would be a fair definition to put on your quiz. Let's see. Proportion, that would be a fair definition to put on your quiz. So ratio, proportion, I think that's it. Yes, that's it. So know those 4 terms for your quiz, and then any of the math problems that we've done in lessons 7.1 and 7.2 are fair game for your quiz. So study your homework from those 2 days. Okay, and that's what's going to be on the quiz. So make sure you study that and be ready for that. And the quiz will be tomorrow. Quiz tomorrow. Now, turn in yesterday's homework at this time, please. You were given homework to work on in class yesterday. It is due today, Tuesday. So please turn that in now, and make sure if you don't turn it in now, it finds its way into my box before the day is over. Okay? Let me grab a quick drink here again. I'm really sorry for the raspy voice. And here we go. Let's jump right into it. Let's grab your notes, grab your pencils, grab your books, and let's get started right away, please, with today's notes. Let me say this. There will be no homework tonight. The video might be rather long. If you don't finish this video in class, I shouldn't have to tell you this, you know this already, but you need to finish it at home tonight if you don't finish it in class. And you will have to pause the video a lot to write things down and then restart the video. But that's part of how this works. So here we go. Please copy this heading in your notes. We are going to look today at a way to prove or show that triangles are, look, similar, not congruent. Okay, similar. So we're going to learn how to prove or show that triangles are similar by using AA, and that's the angle-angle theorem or angle-angle postulate, okay? And so that's what we're going to do today. Now remember, a couple chapters ago, we learned how to prove that 2 triangles are congruent, not similar, congruent. Congruent means all the angles were congruent and all of the corresponding sides were congruent. And we learned that by side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg. Now you've probably forgotten a little bit of that, I understand, but you should at least remember discussing that and using that earlier. Well, now it's something a little different, so don't become confused. We're not going to prove that 2 triangles are congruent. We're going to prove that 2 triangles are similar. similar by what we call the angle-angle postulate, okay? The lesson number is 7.3, and if you'd like to keep track of this, today's date is the 14th. Now, please copy this in your notes, and let's talk about this for a second. The angle-angle similarity postulate, or we can just call it the angle-angle postulate, states if two angles of one triangle, are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then the two triangles are similar. Of course, similar is this, means this right here, a symbol, similar, okay? Now, as you're copying this down, let me read it again. If two angles of one triangle, not three, now we're going to talk about that in a second. If two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then the two triangles are similar. Okay? Now let me show you what I mean here very quickly. Go ahead and copy these two triangles in your notes, please, would you? Copy these two triangles in your notes, and let's go ahead and call this angle right here 25 degrees. So you can go ahead and write that in. If I go too fast, just pause the video. 25 degrees, and we're going to call this 110 degrees, and we'll call this 110 degrees. Now, what I've taught you in the past is in order for two polygons to be similar, all of the angles have to be congruent to all the angles, right? So you're probably thinking, hold it, how do we know for sure all the angles are congruent? Well, you're forgetting that all three angles add up to 180 degrees, right? So if I know that these two angles here are congruent to these two angles here, then I know this third angle right here has to be congruent to this angle right here. Let me show you just really quickly here. Watch. 25 plus 110 is 135, and so I know this has to be 55 degrees. Or actually, hold on one second, please. It'd be 45 degrees. Sorry about that. So we know angle C has to be 45 degrees. And 25 plus 110 is 135, plus 45 degrees is 180. So that's why we really only need to know that two angles are congruent to two angles over here, because as soon as we know that two angles are congruent to two angles, we know the third angle also has to be congruent, okay? And so because of that, whenever all three angles of one triangle are congruent to all three over here, then I can definitely state that these two triangles are similar. Okay? So let me go over this again one more time, and then hopefully you'll understand it. If two angles of one triangle, if two angles of this triangle right here are congruent to two angles over here, then the two triangles have to be similar. Now this only works with triangles, okay? But we know that to be true because this third angle would then be congruent to that angle. Now, and once we have said, now watch this. This is so important, students, watch this. Once we have said that the two triangles are similar, once we have said that, then that means all of the sides are what? Remember? They're proportional. We've talked about that. I mean, if two polygons, or in this case triangles, anytime two polygons are similar, their angles are congruent and their sides are proportional. So, as soon as I state that these two triangles are similar, then we know their sides have to be proportional. They have to be. Okay? So we're going to use this theorem now over and over and over to work out some problems. So are you ready? Make sure you've got your heading written down, the date written down if you want to write that, the angle-angle postulate. Write that down, and then hopefully you have this example here right here in your notes. Let me grab a drink of water and let's continue on. Okay, students, I would like you to copy this in your notes, and here's my question to you. Are these two triangles similar? Are these two triangles similar? Well, let's see. Everybody ready? If you got to pause the video, feel free to. I'm going to go ahead and move on, okay? All right, do I have two angles over here congruent to two angles over here? Well, I have 90 degrees congruent to 90 degrees, but that's it. So right away you want to say, no, they're not similar. But hold on. We better find this third angle here. You never know. 61 plus 90 is 151. And so if you take 151 and subtract it from 180, you see, oh, look at this, that this angle has to be 29. So as soon as you do that, as soon as you found this third angle right here, look what we have. We have these two angles. Oh, by the way, does everybody see how I found that angle? You should. Remember, all three angles inside a triangle have to add up to what? 180 degrees, okay? So if I take 90 plus 61 and get 151, and then subtract that from 180, I get 29 degrees. So look what I have. These two angles right here, 90 and 29, are congruent to these two angles right here, 90 and 29. Are they not? 90 is congruent to 90, 29 is congruent to 29. So are these two triangles similar? Yes, most definitely. Now that I know that they're similar, let's pretend for a second that I put a number here like 6 and a number over here like 3. As soon as I do that, you should be able to find all of the sides of I'd have to give you one more number, and I apologize. We'll call this 4. There. You should be able to find all the rest of the sides of these triangles. Really, Mr. Howard? Yeah, of course. I mean, as soon as we see that two angles are congruent to two angles, then we know the two triangles are what? Similar. And as soon as we know that they're similar, that means all the sides are proportional. So watch what I mean here, okay? This 3 was increased to a 6 because this side here is corresponding to this side here, which means I took 3 times 2 to give me 6. In other words, this side is twice as big as this side, so this 4 right here becomes 8. And then how would I find this right here? Pythagorean's theorem. If you use Pythagorean's theorem, this is the hypotenuse, you would get 5 right here. Trust me, you would get 5. And so this hypotenuse over here has to be 10. You see how we do that? As soon as you know that two triangles are similar, then you know that their sides are proportional. That's really, really, really important. Okay, let's try another one. Please copy this in your notes. Take a second and copy that in your notes, and let's go ahead and get started. My question to you is triangle RST congruent, not congruent, sorry, similar to triangle RUV. Now, I've done this before, and I strongly recommend it again. I really feel like you should split the two triangles up, all right? I think that's a very smart thing to do. So I'm going to take my tracer here, if I can get it to work. Hold on one second. Looks like it's freezing up. There we go. All right, let's trace this triangle right here. There we go. And let's grab it and drag it over here. And now let's trace the big triangle like this. Let's pull it right over here. All right. Now let's quickly label this. Label these S, R, T, U, R, V. We know this angle right here is 48 degrees, and we know this angle right here is 48 degrees. Look what else we know though. We have an angle right here. Now watch this. Please watch this, students. Are these two triangles similar? Well, your first response might be, well, Mr. Earhart, there's no way. We've learned today that you have to have two angles of one triangle congruent to two angles in another triangle in order to state that the two triangles are similar. And by the way, we're going to learn more ways than just AA. That's just for today, okay? So you're like, well, Mr. Earhart, there's no way these two triangles are similar. All that we know is this angle is congruent to this angle. That's one angle, one angle. No, not necessarily. Look at this. Do you see how triangle SRT, this triangle right here, do you see that? How it has this angle right here? And then look how the big triangle RUV has the same angle right there. Do you see that? You should see that. And so I know then that this angle here, I'm not sure what the number value, the numerical value of the angle is, but I know that this angle right here has to be congruent to this angle here. Has to be. So if R is congruent to R, which it is, and S is congruent to U, which it is, then I have two angles right here, in this triangle congruent to two angles here in this triangle, and anytime you have two angles in one triangle congruent to two angles in another triangle, then you have similar triangles. So are these two triangles similar? Yes, they are, most definitely. We're going to practice this and practice this and practice this. I want you to really get this, okay? And that's why I'm giving you 2 days to work on lesson 7.3. Let's continue on. Please copy this in your notes. All right, I would like you to look at this and see if these two triangles are similar. Let's see if these two triangles are similar, okay? Now again, this is Mr. Earhart. I'm kind of just old-fashioned and kind of stuck in my ways, but I believe in breaking the triangles up. I think that's a very helpful thing to do. So there's that triangle right there, and then this triangle here. Now again, I'm going pretty fast, so just pause the video if you need to. It's no big deal, okay? That's one of the benefits. You can just pause the video. All right, so this is triangle QPR, and this is triangle PSR. Now we know we have a right angle here. We know we have a right angle here. We know this is 40 degrees, and we know this is 45 degrees. Now, right away, we can see that we have a right angle here is congruent to a right angle here. That's fine. But then we have 40 and 45, so I'm thinking, well, hold on. Let's find this third angle right here, and maybe that'll show that the two triangles are similar. So 90 plus 45 is 135. And so this right here, 90 plus 40 is 130. Sorry about that. 90 plus 40 is 130. So this has to be 50 degrees right here. So, do I have two angles here congruent to two angles over here? There's no way. If you add these together, you'll see this is 45 degrees here. I have one angle congruent to one angle. That's true. But I do not have two angles in one triangle congruent to two angles over here. So because of that, no, these two triangles are not similar. They are not similar. Okay? What we're practicing today is seeing if two angles in one triangle are congruent to two angles in another triangle. All right? Let me grab a drink of water while you copy this in your notes. Okay, here we go. Is the little triangle similar to the big triangle? Well, let's find out. Again, if I'm going too fast, you don't worry about it. You just pause the video and then restart it, okay? So here's the little triangle. Let's pull that down here. Here's the bigger triangle. All right, here we go. And we'll pull that down there. I think it's very helpful to label your triangles U, V, Y, and this is U, X, W. Now, we see up here in our drawing that this is a right angle, and we see up here in our given diagram this is a right angle here. So far so good. I'm going to put a check mark here and a check mark here. This angle is congruent to this angle here. So far we're doing pretty good. Now, look at this. Oh, here we go. Look, we're all set. See this angle right here? Angle U is 35 degrees. Well, that means for the little triangle, this is 35 degrees. But it's not this angle right here. It's in the little triangle right here. But that 35 degrees is also in the big triangle right here. Do you see that? It's in both triangles. So this angle right here is 35 degrees also. So I have two angles in one triangle congruent to two angles over here in another triangle. So yes, these two triangles are similar. Yes, they are similar. Okay? I hope that's making sense. Let's continue on. Now, let's take a look here at the problem like this. Go ahead and copy this in your notes. I want to talk to you about this for a second, okay? So please copy this problem in your notes. If you got to pause the video, that's fine. I'm going to move on. Now, I want us to look at these two triangles, and first of all, I want to decide whether or not these two triangles are similar. Okay, whether or not they are similar. Well, let's see. I have 65 and 80 right here. Over here I have 65 and 35. So I'm very quickly going to find this angle right here. 65 plus 80 is 145. And so this angle right here has to be 35 degrees. And as soon as I see that, I realize, hey, I have similar triangles because these two angles right here are 65 and 35, and these two angles right here are 65 and 35. So anytime you have two angles in one triangle congruent to two angles in another triangle, then you know the two triangles are what? They're similar. So yes, I know these two triangles are similar. Okay? All right. Now let's apply yesterday's notes. Okay? Let's apply yesterday's notes. Let's review for a second. I want you to write a statement, a similarity statement. This could be on your quiz tomorrow right here. Writing similarity statements was in your homework last night that you had to do. So this will be fair game for your quiz tomorrow. In fact, I would assume I'll have one of these on your quiz. Let's write a similarity statement. Now remember what I've taught you to do. You write the first triangle however you want to. You can write ABC, ACB, BCA, BAC, CBA, CAB. It doesn't matter. I'm just simply going to write triangle ABC is similar to triangle, and now I'm going to stop. What came first over here? A, and A is this angle, and what angle corresponds with angle A? E does. So my first letter over here has to be E. Now my second letter over here is B, and B is 80 degrees. So what angle corresponds with B? Well, it's got to be this angle because this is 65, this is 35, and if I were to add those two together and subtract from 180, I would definitely get 80 degrees. So it's this angle here with this angle here. Okay? So if B came second, then D must come second over here. And then lastly, the only letter left over here to use is E, D, F. So there, I did it. I wrote a similarity statement. I hope you're going to be able to do that in the quiz tomorrow. Okay? So once I knew that these two triangles were similar, I then knew that I could write a similarity statement. Okay? Now let's write a statement of proportionality. Now you can try to match up corresponding side with corresponding side if you want to, but I'm going to tell you something, students. There's really no need to do that when you have a similarity statement right here. I mean, look how easy it is. All you have to do is look at the first two letters, AB, and realize they go with ED. So you simply write AB over ED. And then the next two letters are BC, and the next two letters over here are DF. So I know that BC corresponds with DF. And then lastly, A and C, first and last letters, correspond with E and F, first and last letters. So I would have AC over EF. There we go. And you just wrote a statement of proportionality, which is what we learned how to do yesterday. Okay? Now, I'm not sure, guys, I hope that you'll understand, I'm not trying to water down your education, and I'm going to give you a good amount of homework tomorrow, okay? So be ready for that. But I know how important this material is for the rest of the chapter, for you to understand the rest of the chapter. And I know when I want to spend 2 days on one lesson and when I want to spend 1 day on a lesson, okay? And I really want to go slow over lesson 7.3. All right? So I'm not sure how many times you've had to pause the video and get caught up in all of that, but that's it for the notes today. However, I want to show you something. This is your homework that we're going to do tomorrow in class. It would not be unwise to get a head start on this. Please feel free to. I don't know if the video's downloaded yet, but you guys might have become a little spoiled about that. I mean, you don't have to have a video to do the homework. You can always do the homework and then check the back of the book. And then if you miss any of the odds, you can watch the video for the ones you missed. And the evens, how do you know if you get the evens right? Well, you watch the video and you just fast forward to the even problems and just fast forward to the end of each problem and see if you got it right. So if you want to start this, you can. You don't have to, but I don't want you goofing off in class. So I know I'm not there. Find something to do, whether it be math or whatever, and we're going to work on this in class tomorrow. And by the way, the angle postulate, similarity postulate, I'm going to have you write that 5 times. I know I usually do 3, but it's the only one, and I want you to really, really, really know that for your upcoming quizzes and tests. Now, none of this material that I've taught you today, the new material, will be on the quiz tomorrow. Okay, so page 375, 7 through 26 all. We're going to work on this tomorrow during class, and then we'll turn it in on Thursday. Okay, if you want to get a head start on it tonight, you're welcome to. You don't have to. And also the angle similarity postulate. And I do know how to spell, and I'm sort of saying to myself, that's not right. There's only... Here we go. One in tomorrow. But anyways, so there we go. I hope you've understood this math. I need you to call me or email me if you have any questions at all. And work hard on this stuff. And I will talk to you guys later. Be ready for your quiz tomorrow, please.